Good to have you back with us tonight. A vast right-wing network is pumping money into states to defeat the wage earners of America and to defeat the middle class. They're just undermining the middle class. That is the plan. That is the reality, and it is happening right now. Consume this. Remember, this is my favorite chart right here. As union membership decreases over the last 30 years, middle class income has gone downhill right with it. An assault on unions is an assault on the middle class. You can't get away from that graph. It tells the story. Well, there's a network of right-wing think tanks dedicated to getting anti-worker policies codified right into law. It's called the State Policy Network. That's right. State Policy Network. Let's look at the map of the United States. Beautiful country. God bless America. Let me tell you something. How many states would you think have these think tanks with State Policy Network? Well, it's in red. There it is. They have infrastructure to go after the middle class, to go after union jobs, to go after middle class wages in every single state. They're funding these organizations, all 50 states. And you want to know how many states have anti-worker legislation that has recently passed or is being pushed by Republicans in those states right now? Here it is. They're in yellow. Now, if they had more Republican governors and a little bit more money, they, of course, would be doing it in every state when it comes to legislation. But I want you to take a close look at this. Ohio, Indiana, Michigan, and Florida. Do you think they're important for 2012? What they're doing is laying the groundwork to take away the teeth of the middle-class workers in this country when it comes to them having a voice, when it comes to them having the infrastructure to go after collective bargaining, and they have done that in these states. Heck, in Michigan, they're overtaking city councils that can't run their budget, and that's all about power. In Ohio, Senate Bill 5. In Indiana, Mitch Daniels, he is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and we all know about that dude down there in Florida, Mr. Scott. He's never seen a worker he liked. So this is the concentration of what's happening. The reporting on the State Policy Network comes from Andy Kroll of Mother Jones Magazine. Andy, great to have you with us tonight. The State Policy Network, pretty clear mission, isn't it? And just what they want to do. Just how are they doing it?
They have a network, a web of think tanks that are devoted to free market principles that were inspired by none other than Ronald Reagan himself, spread throughout the country, and their goal is to pass legislation that fits that conservative, right-wing, free market ideology. As you and I both know, unions have no place in that kind of mindset, and so these think tanks have, not just this year, but for decades, laid a groundwork, have pushed legislators, have tried as hard as they can to kneecap unions and kneecap collective bargaining rights for organized labor, which, as you said, is one way to just knock out the middle class.
Well, how many of these laws that we're seeing being proposed are actually coming from these think tanks, directing elected officials, directing officials to go ahead and write the legislation this way, and then coming back and filtering money into their campaigns? What about that?
Well, the think tanks don't give campaign contributions. That's their 501c3 nonprofits. But what my reporting turned up was, other kinds of pressure. It comes in policy briefings. Some think tanks can lobby lawmakers, so it's not quite campaign contributions, but it's similar. But what we've seen over time is they just keep, they keep hammering away at state legislators, many of whom are part-time. They don't quite know exactly what they need to be doing in the state houses around the country, and these think tanks are putting information in front of them and pushing them hard to undercut organized labor. If you undercut organized labor, you're undercutting the Democratic Party,
but
the middle class.
This also goes not only wage earners, but this goes for education. This goes for health care as well, doesn't it?
Absolutely, it does. Charter schools are a huge platform for the think tanks. Health care, stripping away entitlement programs, getting rid of state-run programs, making it all vouchers and privatized. This is at the heart of these think tanks' model.
All right. And how much headway are they actually making? Look, Wisconsin has changed the way we look at the news when it comes to wage earners in this country. I mean, I think that we have seen a sea change on how we view things. I mean, all politics is local. There's not an election this year, but this is when they really do the dirty work after the election. I mean, this is just a textbook, classic example of how they operate. But are they making headway? Are they making a difference? Is it getting harder for wage earners?
Absolutely. With the wave of Republican lawmakers swept into office last fall, the setting was there for these think tanks to go after these new Republicans, to sway them, to influence them, to lobby them to pass these kinds of bills. That's why we're seeing dozens of collective bargaining bills out there today.
And so I bet there's viewers out there tonight wondering, do the liberals have anything like this cooking? I mean, there's MoveOn.org, there's a pre-CCC, there's Democracy for America, Organizing for America, and all this stuff, but they're not on this level, are they?
Not at all. This is straight from the same conservative ideologues that founded the Heritage Foundation. This is coming straight from Reagan. The left doesn't have an answer to this, but as we're seeing, might be wise to.
Andy Kroll, Mother Jones, great to have you with us tonight. I appreciate your time. Good reporting.